Hello everybody and welcome back to my channel, or welcome if you are new. My name is Brianna. I am a certified personal trainer, a big, huge biology nerd, and a registered dietitian to be. So today we are going to be talking about a Beachbody coach who hates gluten, is trying to convince the world to also hate gluten, has developed her own diet and markets it to people. Is she a registered dietitian? No. Is she a fitness professional? Also no. Before we continue, if you love science-based health, wellness, and fitness education with some lulz along the way, please hit that subscribe button. I would really appreciate it. Without further ado, guys, let's get right into the video. So I can't start this video without giving any credit to the subscriber who brought this person to my attention via a DM to me on Instagram. I don't know if that person is okay with me sharing their name, so to play it safe, I just won't. If you're watching this, you know who you are. Without you, this video would not be possible, so shout out to you. So this person has a decent sized social media following. She has almost 250,000 followers on Instagram, so she's decently high up in the company from what I can see based on her page. I normally conceal names and like IG handles and stuff, but this is one where we're gonna dig pretty deep into this person, and there are probably gonna be some points where you're gonna see her website, and her website is the same as her IG, and you know, even when you find her website, you'd still be able to find her Instagram. So, I mean, I'm not gonna outright tell you this person's name. You know, if you get a glimpse of her website name, then you know, it happens. I just ask that you guys don't harass or send hate to anybody that we talk about on my channel or ever. So yeah, there's that. So let's start by taking a look at this person's Instagram page. 244K followers, online fitness and business, won't find perfection here, hormone obsessed, 16/8 IFer. I'm pretty sure that means IF in this context means intermittent fasting. So 16 is probably the fasting, the amount of hours she fasts, and 8 is probably her window to eat. And then underneath it, it says functional nutritional therapy practitioner. No idea what that means, but more on that later. And then it says see my blog and find a few of my faves. And then there's, you know, a link. So she has a ton of highlights, as you guys can see here. The one we're going to be taking a look at is the nutrition highlight. She has a highlight next to it called Fur Babies. She has 3 bobcats. That's unrelated. I just thought that that was interesting. I have 3 dum-dums. Don't I, Onyx? He just looked up at me. So the highlight that we're gonna take a look at is the nutrition one. We're not gonna look through every single one, but we're gonna look at a few things that I found particularly interesting and that I found worthy of talking about. So here we go. One just looks like some food. And then why you should avoid vegetable oils by Dr. Mark Hyman. I'm not really surprised that a doctor is saying things like that about nutrition, because vegetable oils are actually a good source of vitamin E. But you guys remember, we talked about this. Doctors and dietitians do not have the same scope of practice. Dietitians actually know more about nutrition than doctors do. So I kind of take what Dr. Mark Hyman says with a grain of pink Himalayan sea salt. Next one, here it is. Here's this next one I want to talk about. It says certificate. Do you guys mind? All right, so this thing says certificate of completion. This certificate is awarded to blank for completing the 52-week primal restoration certification course under Nora Gidgaj and is now a certified primal restoration specialist. What does any of that mean? I did a little bit of research and I found out that a primal restoration certification course is a 52-week course developed by this Nora D person. I'm just gonna call her Nora D because I just can't pronounce that last name, I'm sorry. She has a title. I'm sorry, this is wordy. I have to look down at my notes and read this. Board Certified Holistic Clinical Nutrition Specialist. I found the website for this course and there was about a 5-minute video on it. I'm not gonna make you guys watch it. I watched the video, so you don't have to. But we're gonna hear some quick key takeaways from the video that I find relevant to this video that I'm filming right now. And if you wanna see it, I'll leave a link to it at the bottom. So a brief summary of this video. She has, quote, superb training in functional nutrition and medicine areas. She says that Primal Restoration is, quote, ancestrally based nutritional health program designed for practitioners. She also says in the video that she frequently brings in several, quote, high-level health experts in certain subjects. She featured a bunch of people on the screen. None of those people were registered dietitians, just saying. And then she also goes on to say that this program is fully accredited by the Nutritional Therapy Association. I looked up the Nutritional Therapy Association and found a website, and on their website, one of their headings is, under one of their headings talking about a little bit what they are. It reads, the Nutritional Therapy Practitioner NTP online program is uniquely based on a foundational holistic approach to nutrition that honors the bio-individuality of our bodies. The NTP program teaches you specific tools for managing clients and assessing the body's nutritional deficiencies using the body's innate intelligence, properly prepared whole foods, and lifestyle factors. Some of that stuff kind of sounds like what registered dietitians do, so I don't really understand how it's even legal. It says assessing people's nutritional deficiencies, like that's something that RDs do, like in a clinical setting. So yeah, I don't even know how that's legal. Let's move on to the next slide. We have here, she's pointing to something, and she says, everything I read cements what I've created with the MADE diet is the best nutritionally. It looks like she just has a screenshot of an excerpt of, I don't know, some book. If you want to read it, you can pause the screen, but I don't really care to read it. We're gonna talk about her MADE diet. This is a Beachbody coach who she not only pushes programs like fitness, nutrition, or otherwise, she has developed her own diet. She has a website dedicated to it, and she even has an ebook in which you can buy it, which surprisingly is actually not that expensive. I looked it up, it's only about $10. And in this book, it just details some stuff about the diet. And then I think it said it gives you like the first 7 days of like a meal plan or something. Here we get to this person's kind of like calling card. Based on this diet and based on everything she says in her blog and her website and her Instagram, this girl hates gluten. More on that later. We're gonna keep going and see what the next story says.
Yeah, so many thoughts on fruit. Number one, absolutely it can be part of a healthy diet. It is pretty much, it can be God-given food. Do I think we should eat a lot of it? No. I mean, speaking of the man upstairs, he made it so it comes out in the spring and the summer so that we can eat it. And it's got fructose in it, which blocks your satiety hormone so that you eat tons of it to fatten you up for the winter.
Okay, so let's break down a little bit of what she just said about fruit. It's not really surprising to me that she's demonizing fruit with the whole keto fad right now. It's kind of a hot topic, like, oh, fruit is bad. You hear a lot of people say that, especially like these keto warriors. So she said that fruit blocks something called your satiety hormone. I think she is talking about the hormone called leptin. Put really simply, leptin basically controls your body's appetite and hunger. So there actually is some truth to what she's saying. Fructose, which is fruit sugar, a monosaccharide, has actually been observed to impact leptin levels, which can affect somebody's weight and obesity status. I actually found this really interesting and long study that was titled, Fructose-Induced Leptin Resistance Exacerbates Weight Gain in Response to Subsequent High-Fat Feeding. It basically just discusses the effect that a high fructose diet had on the leptin levels of laboratory mice. It was really interesting, and I will link it below if you want to take a look at that. I don't have anything to substantiate this, but I think it was this observation about fruit and leptin levels and being linked with obesity and whatnot is what probably spearheaded the keto movement. And it's probably what has made millions of diehard keto people worldwide start preaching that fruit is bad for you. When really, in this study even, they use the word chronic to describe consumption of fruit. People who I can see developing this issue with like leptin levels and like maybe eventually having their weight impacted down the line is frugivores. I think I'm saying that right. Frugivorians, people who only eat fruit and nothing else. Like based on the details of the study, I can see somebody who only lives off fruit developing issues with leptin resistance down the line. From what I understand, frugivorism is kind of like a subcategory of the vegan diet. Takes it to the extreme of just only eating fruit and nothing else. Only eating fruit and nothing else is not a very balanced diet. I think if you're considering doing that, you should really speak to a registered dietitian, preferably one that maybe specializes in plant-based health. All right, let's finish watching this.
I don't. You can easily get protein from the food that you eat. But I do recommend Shakeology, but not because of protein at all. It's because it has shit in it that I'm not getting in my diet, and certainly other people aren't either.
Is anyone surprised at all that she recommends Shakeology. Are any of you outside surprised that she recommends Shakeology? Onyx, are you surprised that she recommends Shakeology? All right, well, no further comment on that. I'm just LOLing right now at the fact that she of course recommends Shakeology. We've discussed this. Should you choose to incorporate supplements in your diet, there are far more affordable options at places like GNC or Vitamin Shop. How much Shakeology? Like $100 a month? $100 or $130 or something like that for a 1-month supply? Ridiculous. All right, so let's shift gears and talk a little bit about this woman's just seething hatred for gluten. Let's start here. What is gluten? Gluten is a complex of proteins that is found in wheat, barley, and rye. I'm pretty sure that's right, and if I'm not, I will insert it on the screen. Gluten is made up of the proteins glutenin and gliadin. And what's interesting about gluten is it's kind of like a just add water situation. So you have flour right here, which is something that contains gluten, when it's made from wheat anyway. And then you have, water over here. So this flour just on its own, think of that flour on its own as having like dormant gluten or like inactivated gluten. As soon as you add water to the flour and start manipulating it, kneading it, the flour starts to develop this kind of structural network. This network is the matrix of gluten. The more you knead the bread, the more you manipulate it, the more you develop the gluten network. Without adding water to the flour, you cannot have gluten. I have no idea when the gluten-free craze began. I want to say it was a few years ago. A gluten-free diet is not actually from, remember guys, I'm still in school to be a dietitian. I do have a science background. I'm familiar with human physiology and whatnot, but remember, I'm not a dietitian or a doctor. But based on my knowledge, the gluten-free diet is not necessary for everybody. Gluten-free diet is necessary, however, for people who have celiac disease. If you're watching this and you have celiac, you know you can't eat gluten. Put really simply, celiac disease is an autoimmune disease that affects the GI tract, and if somebody with celiac eats gluten, it can cause a lot of serious damage to their stomach, intestinal lining. Then there's also people who are gluten sensitive, which is also a thing. Those people don't necessarily have celiac disease, but they are sensitive to gluten. One of my best friends from college is very sensitive to gluten. She's so sensitive to gluten that when we were in college and I was spending Thanksgiving with her family, she has to have like her own bowl of mashed potatoes, because if the other bowl of mashed potatoes, if that spoon touched anything with gluten in it and then we scooped it in her bowl of mashed potatoes, she's gonna be in the bathroom for the rest of the night not having a good time. She's been tested for celiac and she tested negative for celiac, which she told me that the doctor was actually surprised at. So she's somebody who does not have celiac disease who is sensitive to gluten. So people with celiac disease and gluten sensitivity have to avoid gluten. Should you too? This Beachbody coach says you should. On her website, she has a blog and she's got a lot of posts on it. But the ones that stuck out to me are obviously the headings that are related to like anti-gluten. Here's one that says, what's wrong with modern wheat? And then this other one, which is the object of my curiosity, should everyone be gluten-free? And then it looks like she has a merch line that she has a shirt that says meat over wheat. I'm not gonna sit here and read this whole article with you guys. I read it on my own time, but I'm not gonna make you guys sit through it. So we're just gonna look at a couple headings here. Is gluten bad? Now you may be wondering, is gluten bad for people without celiac disease? Well, studies have shown that some people are sensitive to gluten even if they don't have celiac disease. As in, even if you don't have celiac disease, gluten could still inflame your gut. This is called non-celiac gluten sensitivity. Yeah, sure, we already knew that. We just talked about that. Let's actually take a look at one of these studies. This particular study I'm about to explain to you was published in Clinical Gastroenterology and Hepatology. Researcher Antonio Di Sabatino, did not rehearse that name. You should subscribe if you're impressed. Took tens of patients who thought they had issues with gluten but were proven to not have celiac disease. He put all of these people on a gluten-free diet for 1 week and then put half the patients back on gluten and made the other half think they were back on gluten using a placebo, rice starch. So to clarify, these people were off gluten for a week, then half of them were back on and half of them were still off. That means if these people really had issues with gluten despite not having celiac disease, then you should see the gluten group having bad symptoms and the placebo group not. And that is exactly what happened. It turned out these patients weren't just making up their gluten problems. The patients who were put back on gluten reported worse brain fog, bloating, and stomach pain than the people in the placebo group. The next heading under this is, what does it all mean? Well, the way I would interpret that data is, even if you don't have celiac disease, there is a case to be made from the dangers of gluten sensitivity. Yeah, if you know you're gluten sensitive, then you're gluten sensitive. Just because you don't have celiac disease doesn't mean you can't be sensitive to gluten. Like, we just established this. It does appear to cause gut inflammation in some individuals. Yeah, those individuals who are sensitive to gluten. So removing gluten from your diet, at least just to see what happens and how you feel, is a great idea. And sure, a lot of people will say that gluten isn't dangerous if you don't have celiac disease or other wheat sensitivities. But my logic is, how are you supposed to know whether or not you have those sensitivities if you never tried cutting gluten out of your diet? I don't like that argument. Even though I know I'm perfectly healthy and don't have lung cancer, I know that cigarettes are strongly linked to lung cancer, but they might not give me lung cancer, so I'm going to smoke a pack of cigarettes a day for 6 months, and if I don't get lung cancer from that, then I am immune to cigarettes. Was that a reach? Maybe. But you get what I'm saying. Aside from the occasional uncontrollable eye twitch, I am perfectly healthy. Why the f would I go and cut gluten out of my diet and cause myself more stress at the grocery store just because this Beachbody coach said I should? Someone who is uninformed and incorrectly educated will see this post and see this girl's ramblings about how horrible gluten is. Then she might try and cut gluten out of her diet even though she's never had any issues with wheat before. Then, due to that magical placebo effect, she'll start saying she feels better, and then just like that, the gluten-free face Facebook group has a new member. I want to take this moment to shout out people who have celiac disease and gluten sensitivity. I genuinely feel bad for you guys because you guys really can't have gluten in your diet, and then you have people over here with an ego and an internet connection. I can't take credit for that line. That was a comment on one of my last videos. Thinking that because they read an article somewhere that gluten's bad and now nobody should eat gluten. I just feel like all of these self-righteous gluten-free people just make people who really have to be gluten-free lose so much like credibility, and people don't take you guys as seriously when you say like, hey, I really can eat gluten. I really do feel bad for you guys. So shout out to you guys. I do not have celiac disease. I don't have a gluten sensitivity, but I hear you guys. I'm here with you. All right. Lastly, let's talk about this person's credentials. She has none. None that I could see. As far as I could see, she is not a registered dietitian. She does not have a background or an education in nutrition or food science. She is not a certified personal trainer. She is just a Beachbody coach. Remember when we looked at her Instagram profile and it said that she was a functional nutritional therapy practitioner? That sounds fancy, but what the hell is it? So I found the nutritional therapy website, which is just nutritionaltherapy.com, by the way. So let's read this. Right on the website, ready to use your time at home to make your passion for a career in nutrition a reality? The time has come, and we can tell you how to get there in just 10 months with our fully online nutritional therapy practitioner program. Underneath it, it says, be your own boss. Be your own boss, set your own hours, replace your full-time income, help others, and love what you do. Okay, this sounds like an MLM pitch. Oh my God. Okay, so you guys know that I am in school to be a registered dietitian. Okay, I'm not an RD yet. I try to clarify that because a lot of people will still like tag me and stuff and like say that I'm a dietitian, but I'm not. You know, I try to make that clear. That's what I mean when I say RD to be, like registered dietitian to be. I'm in the making. It's in progress. So I want to specialize in bariatric and diabetes care. Becoming a dietitian is not exactly easy. Between licensing exams, internships, and the undergraduate degree we have to have, and now starting 2024, the master's degree we're gonna have to have. Becoming an RD is not like a super easy road. It takes years of hard work and a lot of sacrifice. Here we have this program where I can be a, what the hell was it again? A functional nutritional therapy practitioner in just 10 months. 10 months, you guys. I took to Instagram and I wanted to see what some of my registered dietitian friends had to say about this, because before researching for this video and researching this person, I never heard of the nutritional therapy practitioner, whatever. So I took to Instagram, I posted a little thing to my story and I was like, is this legit? Is this real? A couple of my IG RD friends got back to me and let's see what they had to say. Eat Right Guy said, I've never heard of it. Kara Corey said, unfortunately, programs like this are everywhere for health coaches. It's not legit, but the general public sadly still doesn't know the difference between what it takes to become an RD, registered dietitian, / LD, licensed dietitian, versus calling yourself a nutrition coach. She's right. It's really sad that the general public doesn't know that, but you know what? That's what we're here to do. And another dietitian that we follow each other, her name is Brianna. Fantastic name, by the way, sweetheart. She said, from what I can tell, it's a bunch of holistic nutrition bullshit. They aren't an accredited program, aka they couldn't become a dietitian, but they could sit for some credentialing exam through the National Association for Nutrition Professionals. No idea what that's about. Basically, they're a glorified and expensive nutritionist. So, there it is. All right, guys, let's put a bow on this. In conclusion, let's not forget that after all of this, this person is still, at the end of the day, a Beachbody coach. Beachbody is one of several MLMs just like it that is predatory, has a pyramid scheme type business model in which almost 100% of people lose money according to the Federal Trade Commission, and it's just not to be trusted. They push products that are dangerous, not FDA regulated, and not proven by science to be safe or healthy for our use. And remember, the products that they have are only there so that they can't outright be called a pyramid scheme. It is for that reason and that reason alone, I don't trust what this person says. As for all the other stuff about making her own diet and like trying to push gluten-free on everybody and like distributing her own ebook about the diet and whatnot, I think she's walking a very fine line of legality when it comes to this. She's spewing a lot of nutrition information without any credentials in nutrition. And I'm sorry, Beachbody coach is not a credential. There are some states where you can actually face legal trouble for distributing meal plans and giving MNT, medical nutrition therapy, if you are not a registered dietitian. If I did not know the difference between a registered dietitian and a nutritionist, I would see all this, all these certifications that this girl has and think that she's legit, and I would listen to what she says. She has almost 250,000 people who follow her, like almost 250,000 people listen to her and like think that she's legit. Of course, followers like don't matter. But the point I'm trying to make is people will listen to these gurus, but they won't listen to professionals. And that's just something that just needs to end. It causes real professionals like dietitians and personal trainers to lose credibility when you have Beachbody coaches like this, like spewing all kinds of nonsense that usually isn't true, and that's usually not factual and can even be dangerous to people. All right, thank you guys so very much for watching. I really, really appreciate it. If you enjoyed this video and want to see more like it, hit that subscribe button and also hit the like button. I would really appreciate it and it really helps me out. I think that's it. You guys want to see the dogs now? I know that's why a lot of you only watch the end of my videos. Oh, Onyx is being such a lazy old guy right now. He doesn't want to get up. Really, you're not going to get up and come over here? You're embarrassing me. You gonna say bye? Bye to the people? Or are you just gonna lay there like a big lazy hot dog? Hmm? Hey. Hey, boy. Hey. Hey, baby. Say bye. Say like and sub. Bye.